I had an epiphany. It was one hell of an epiphany. The epiphany that I had was to grow the fuck up. Again, right? So this is another fucking growth spurt that I'm having. And this ain't gotta be no long drawn out conversation. Here's the thing. Um, on this channel when I'm talking to you and I'm growing through things, because talk therapy works for me, and I'm growing through things, it is not my intention to be talking for long periods of time. Sometimes it just goes that way. So with that being said, um I am having a growth spurt. The epiphany was the growth spurt. The growth spurt, or the message of the growth spurt, was to grow the fuck up again. And it is getting my attention to operate a little differently than I normally would in a not so typical situation for me. And this is where you're tested at to a large degree, because, again, I may speak in third party terms, so don't take it as if I'm speaking about you. I'm speaking about myself, and if it don't apply, then let it fly. Let's say that. So I operate with principles, morals, a code of conduct, so to speak, self governing code of conduct. And for most of what I would consider a normal situation, I'm able to consistently operate that way because that's who I am as a person. However, sometimes life or the universe will throw us a motherfucking curveball, and it presents us with a not so common or not so typical situation. And sometimes, or what I'm learning is, when you're presented with these situations, it's not necessarily always a test to prove to yourself or to anyone else that you are who you say you are. No. Sometimes it's a test of growth, meaning that how you normally operate is absolutely fine as long as you're not hurting yourself or anyone else. It is absolutely fine to operate that way, be that way, if that's the person you've grown into. But sometimes we are presented with, once again, not to sound repetitive, non common situations that cause us to think outside of our norm, or outside of the box. These are fucking situations that force growth, a different type of growth. That is what I'm being presented with. I would absolutely love to get into more detail. I just don't think that may be wise right now. Just not right now, because the situation is very sensitive to me. I have just recently had this epiphany, like meaning today. So whatever time this video posts, which the sun is out, so it's earlier in the day, but with time, whatever time this video posts, just know that this is like a news flash to me. So in the earlier part of the day, I got this epiphany, and I am still processing this shit, because there's a part of me that's just fighting it. Fighting the growth part. Like, no, no, no. Because that is not how I operate. That is not how I am. And no, no, no. I don't want to do it. Plain and simple. I just don't want to do that. And there's another part of me that is coming to some real ass realities. Some real realities. And it's clarifying. It's clarifying. And when it's over, when it's all said and done, I can revert back and get into some real specific details about the shit. But it's clarifying. It's honest according to my life and what I'm experiencing right now. And there's definitely a fucking wow factor. Like, oh shit. Oh shit. And the growth part of it. I'm actually not afraid of the growth part of it. I'm actually, and this is me being very brutally honest. There's a little bit of being afraid and another side of myself maybe I want to say the darker part. The darker side of myself, because there's balance in all things. But here's why I'm afraid of the darker side of myself. I have spent a very, very, very long time I think, hold on, because I got some epiphanies and shit and messages and shit coming as I'm talking. Now, hold on. And I'm pausing because I don't know if this is the fucking right thing I should be saying. Okay, but I don't want them to stop, so let me just keep going and fuck it. Shit, this is like a little... I'm afraid right now. I'm afraid right now of the shit that's going to come out. Okay. I have spent a very, very long time burying and not even dealing with the darker side of myself because earlier on in life I have gotten glimpses of the darker side of myself. And I didn't like it. I didn't like it because there were situations that I was dealing with even in my youth that brought those darker sides out. And I didn't know how to transmute energy. I didn't know how to make peace with my darker side. I didn't even know if I could. I became afraid of it. And I became afraid of it because I saw just how dark it could get. And I didn't even know if I'd be able to come out of that shit. And so I spent a lot of years doing inner work, yes, to grow up. But I was under the assumption that growing up and maturing and choosing to ignore and not deal with my dark side was a part of growing. I thought I had to banish it. I thought I had to, and banishing was a way that I felt like I could get rid of it, bury it, in order as to like not deal with it at all, because the darker side of myself I considered to be ugly. And in healing development, growth development, I'm just like having an epiphany right now. And it's scary. And it's a little bit hurtful to admit this shit, especially out loud right now while I'm on camera, because the message just like came through and it kind of got me feeling emotionally unstable, like I'm really ready to cry, because I think I may have done a disservice to myself excuse me, in not dealing with my darker side, because we all have it. um and what consists of my darker side? um Not allowing myself to feel anger, because anger, I've carried around anger for a very long time before in my past. Um, and when I had the chance to unleash it, it was in a very unhealthy way. It was in a very unhealthy way. And the results of it scared me. And shit, this is a lot right now. Hold on, I gotta get some tissue. Hold on a second. Oh shit. Okay, so shit. I went and actually got the roll of tissue in case I need it. I wouldn't have to leave the room again. But oh shit. Okay, so I'll give you an example. I lost my mom at a young age, very young age. That caused me to be very angry. I stayed in a very toxic relationship at that time, which fueled my anger. And being young, I've made excuses to accept that being in a toxic relationship and being angry about my mom's death and passing was was okay. And even though it is okay, there is no excuse to stay in a toxic relationship. And when I think about it, at that time, all of my relationships were fucking toxic. From the romantic relationship to even my fucking friendship relationships. I was so fucking blinded at the time. And it was so many things I chose to ignore. And the people that I was dealing with at the time. Because this was the time also in my life that I felt like I needed people to distract me from the negative emotions that I was feeling. I did not sit with myself. I didn't sit in my emotions. I just recognized that I had these negative emotions. And I didn't know how to release them. I didn't know how to... I just knew how to operate in them. I've operated in that toxic mind state and environment for fucking years. The only peace I can say that I've actually found, the only stability that I feel like I actually found, the only good thing that I feel like I've actually found was in my son. Because at the time I had one kid and he was my joy. He helped me through a lot. At one time in my life I called him my band-aid. I almost bled on him. But I caught that too. I caught that in the very, very early stages, in the very, very beginning. Um, and I never unpacked certain things. I just pushed them down and ignored it and said to myself, you know what? This is a fucking lot, to the point that it is too much. And I have to make a change. So I'm going to change my attitude. I'm going to change my demeanor. I'm going to change my outlook on life. And I'm going to work on being a better person. And I have done that. But in not dealing with my shadow self, I think that is why I became non-confrontational. In my younger days, I was very, very confrontational about everything, no matter what the fuck the consequences were. So thankful to God and the universe I made it this far. Like, I'm 48, I'm about to be 49. Oh, so thankful, so blessed that I was able to make it this far, and that I didn't meet someone that was able to match my energy, because I'm telling you that the confrontational part of me, the shadow side of me, was so angry that I was with whatever. I have stories that I could share, and I don't know if I should, you know. I'll share one. A girl and I got into a physical altercation. We're fighting, and I'm punching a girl, and we're up against a fence. The fence is about maybe chest length to us. It's a black fence, and it has those pointy kind of arrows, and it's maybe like chest. I can't remember if it's here. Well, chest is here, so it like about chest length to us, and we're up against that, and we're fighting, and we going to fucking blows. And I remember feeling a rage that came over me so much that I grabbed her by her hair, yanked her head back, banged it on the fence, and now I'm pushing her in, because my next fucking move was to push this bitch head through the fucking metal arrows that was sticking up through the, like, and you know, when you're having certain moments in your life, time becomes fluid. So shit happens so fast, but kind of slow at the same time. And in that moment, like, it was just a fucking moment that I recall feeling like, oh my God, I cannot fucking do this. And I stopped in the middle of the fight. I stopped. Once I got, because my thought was, I'm about to fucking, like, I could kill this girl, like, and I stopped, and she kept swinging, and then I just went into defense mode, and blocked mode and backed up. And I fucking ran. Because in that very moment, I was so conflicted with emotion. And as I backed up and ran, people were like, confused and not really understanding what happened, whatever. At that time, I didn't even really know what fucking happened. I had to even think about it back then. Because I just kept thinking, oh my God, I could have killed this girl. And what the fuck would become of my life? Am I that angry or hateful? Like, what is it? And I knew it was anger. I knew it was built up anger. But I still was like, what the entire fuck? Is so much that I could have fucking unalived this fucking girl. And I'm using terminology now, not back then. Not back then. I was just fucked up in the head fit because I realized that I was so angry that I could have fucking killed somebody. That was my thought process at the time. Like, oh my God. And that's that was one example of a real life situation that caused me to see that my anger was dangerous. And not only to other people, but to myself. And so those were one of the instances where I had made a conscious decision to make a fucking change. I felt like I had to change it. I had to change quick because I could not and did not want to live my life in anger. Excuse me, I wanted to wipe my face and so at that time, I made a conscious decision to make the necessary changes, to do the inner work, to become a better person. Now, here's the fucking thing. This situation right now that brought me the epiphany is an example of the shadow work that I need to do that I have not done. Regarding my anger, let me just get that clear. Like, I haven't been consistent in doing shadow work because I was not affiliating shadow work with light. I wasn't affiliating love and light with shadow work. I'm like, okay, they're two different things. That even though there's a balance in all things. I'm aware of the limit I can go to with my anger, so I'll just refrain from entertaining it or learning how to control it or working with it, accepting it. Like any type of shadow work regarding my fucking anger, I have not done. Simply because I just thought it was 1, 2, 3. Like I said, I'm well aware of the consequences of my anger if I allow it to get the best of me. And so, you know what? I'm just not going to deal with that. I am going to be as less angry as possible about any situation, no matter what the situation is, because me getting angry is not good for me. I summarized it just like that. That is why when it comes to people that are my known enemies, that is why I absolutely do not I don't I'm looking for the right words to say, because I mean, I don't entertain them, I don't engage them, I don't. A fact is a fact, right? Nothing changes a fact. The fact is, I know myself. The fact is, I refuse to give people power over me, and the way that I do that is refrain from being in and or around them if I can, because if the fact is that you don't like me and I in turn don't like you, then it is in both of our best interests to stay away from each other. I call it the method of help me to help you, right? Help me to help you. So there's this situation that has come up, and I have to deal with a person that I don't particularly care for at all. But the situation right here, the circumstances surrounding the situation, is challenging to the way that I am and the way that I operate. It is forcing me to grow in another direction. It is forcing me to see things differently. Yes, because the circumstances surrounding this situation isn't simple enough for me to just dismiss this person, even though I want to. I really don't want to have any dealings with this person, but at this particular time, it is absolutely necessary that I do deal with them. And I am learning how I must deal with them whenever I have to deal with them. And it is not easy for me, because again, in learning myself and know where my anger could get me, I said to myself, you know what? One of the things you have to do is stay out of confrontations. You cannot be confrontational. This is giving people power over you, because you know where your anger can lead you to, you know? So at very high cost, I have avoided situation. When I say high cost, I mean pride, ego, at the expense of these things. My pride, my ego. Not my self-worth, not my self-esteem, at least not right now. I don't attach it, but definitely my pride and my ego. At the expense of those, I have had to bow out gracefully out of situations, because I did not want the person or the thing to be able to have control over my situation. Ultimately, I have the control over my situation, which is why I chose to handle things the way that I did. But right now, it's just like a whole wow factor, and I'm processing all of this, and I just wanted to share this with you because this also falls into line with self-care, right? Not just rethinking things, but being patient with yourself, being kind with yourself because you deserve it, because you should, and because being your own worst critic only works in situations where you may want to challenge yourself to do better, right? And maybe not even then, if you know the type of person that you are. When you criticize yourself, that can play on you mentally, leading up to emotionally and physically. So you can critique yourself, but to criticize yourself is something fucking different, and you want to be careful doing that. You know, you just got to understand that self-care is way more than surface level shit, right? And I always knew that, but I am learning right now a lesson from my shadow side, how to work with my shadow side instead of trying to ignore it. I have to learn how to channel my anger in a healthy way, work with it, and still be able to have the best outcome for myself. And I just wanted to share that message. And I appreciate any time you give me. Thank you for listening. I am going to finish my tea and continue processing. Because when you do what, we're creatures of habit, and when you do what works for you and it's been working for a long time, you say to yourself, well, I'll change it. But then there's a situation that comes up that challenges your thought process on a particular way of being, and you're going to make the necessary changes because whatever changes you want it to be beneficial to your ascension. And remember that everybody's journey is different. So even though you may share stories with your friends, you may share things with your friends and your family. Excuse me. My nerves is like really like wrecked right now in processing. But even though you share things with your friends and your families and your lovers, just understand that their opinion is just that. It's an opinion. You don't have to take it to heart. You don't even have to take it because they're offering another perspective. You can consider it, but you don't have to do it because everybody's journey is different. Everything affects people differently, and it is just a perception. No one's right or wrong, It is their perceptions, what they're entitled to. They trust you enough to share with you what they feel and what the meaning is with you. And then you have the information. You do whatever you need to do with it. You apply it. And again, if it don't apply, let it fly. So with that, happy Sunday.